The Roulettesystem demonstration with Roulettecomputer by SelMcKenzie. Video. Author D. Selzer-McKenzie. Basic theory and science of a winning roulette system. The first thing to understand is how casinos profit from roulette. On the European wheel, there are 37 numbers including 0. Consider starting with a bankroll of 37 units. Now if you bet on one number for 37 spins, on average, you can expect to win once over the 37 spins. If the payout was 37-1, you would end up with exactly what you started with, 37 units. But the problem is the casino's payout is actually 35-1. This means you are paid less than a fair payout. This situation is consistent with all bet types, including outside bets. So the only way to overcome this house edge and profit consistently is to bet on the winning number with a greater than 1 in 35 accuracy. Many players do not understand this concept, which is why most systems fail. Click for more detail. The second thing to understand is where the ball lands is not random. In fact, the context the word random is often used is actually invalid because nothing is ever random. Everything is due to cause and effect. Even so-called random static on your TV screen is not random. It is due to the propagation and interference of electromagnetic waves. The question of, is roulette beatable, is not about statistics or odds. It is a question of physics and the predictability of the ball's behavior. You simply cannot beat roulette with statistics. The only way to beat roulette is by understanding cause and effect on the wheel. That is to understand exactly why the ball landed where it did, and how that knowledge can be applied to predict future spins. Our roulette strategy applies physics and an understanding of real wheel dynamics. This is the only way to win at roulette. Previous spins do not at all affect future spins, but that doesn't mean past spins can't tell us anything about future spins. There's no way of knowing exactly which number will spin next. And there's no way of knowing exactly which area of the wheel will spin next. However, by understanding cause and effect on roulette wheel, you know exactly what patterns may occur in what would otherwise appear to be random results. In other words, understanding the physics of roulette wheels tells us what patterns may form. And once we know what to look for, it is easy to exploit patterns. Roulette spins are indeed predictable. In fact, it is virtually impossible for roulette wheel designers to create wheels with truly unpredictable results. Always there is a degree of predictability to spins, always. Whether or not a roulette wheel is beatable depends not on whether or not patterns form, because they are inevitable, but on whether or not the patterns are strong enough to overcome the house edge. On almost every modern wheel, patterns most certainly are predictable, and roulette is being beaten every day by professional players. Wheel designers and casinos alike know this very well, which has resulted in numerous new wheel designs to decrease the predictability of roulette. However, even these wheels are still being beaten. If you think it's impossible to predict the erratic bounce of a roulette ball, and that roulette is simply far too unpredictable, consider that the house edge in roulette is quite small, only approximately 2.5%. This means any method to predict roulette spins need only be slightly accurate to overcome the house edge, and give the edge to the player to achieve consistent winnings. Truly it is not at all difficult to achieve the required, slight accuracy. Roulette spins are indeed predictable. Of course not to the extent where you know every winning number, but certainly to the extent where you can predict which area of the wheel the ball will land, at least with sufficient accuracy to overcome the relatively small house edge. Further detail about the 9 custom variant patterns. Part of our system is a form of statistical analysis, but this is only an element of it. At its core it is not statistical in nature, it is pure physics as follows: when any moving object is subject to the same physical properties, long-term patterns are inevitably generated. The roulette wheel is no exception, i.e., the wheel doesn't warp magically or transform into another shape with different properties between spins, so it's absolutely inevitable that long-term patterns will be generated, patterns you can base your bets on to overcome the house edge and win consistently. Specifically with the roulette wheel, it is impossible for no long-term patterns to be generated. It's merely a question of whether or not the patterns of a specific wheel are strong enough to overcome the house edge. Yes, of course the speed of the wheel and ball contributes to where the ball will land, but this is primarily on individual spins. However, even if wheel and ball speeds vary enormously between spins, long-term patterns are unreservedly inevitable. It is an absolute and scientific certainty that casinos cannot avoid. The casinos themselves know one of the very few ways to win at roulette is with a proper wheel analysis. Unfortunately, of the players that know this, most simply do not know what patterns to look for. Our system looks for 9 different pattern types. Like most professional wheel analyzers, the casinos are only aware of 2 of the 9 pattern types. A casino's own wheel pattern analysis software is therefore inadequate. Software casinos use behind the scenes to let them know if a wheel generates known pattern types. Although the casinos only know about 2 of the 9 patterns, because they know a proper wheel analysis can and does beat roulette, the smarter casinos randomly move around wheels in attempt to confuse professional wheel analyzers such as our players. Casinos know wheel analyzers are a very real threat. But the moving and swapping of wheels does not hinder the success of our players because they can simply observe the unique identifying features of the wheel such as wood grain and small scratches. The other 7 of the 9 pattern types are something only an energy researcher would be aware of. All 9 pattern types are tied intimately with sacred geometry such as the golden spiral, as absolutely everything is. It is not new technology, it's actually as ancient as the universe itself. And you just have to know exactly what to look for. If you want to know more about the 9 custom variant patterns, the best single resource is the publication, The World's Best Roulette Systems, by SelMcKenzie, and the worthwhile 10K Selger-McKenzie Roulettecomputers by SelMcKenzie, which can be purchased from Amazon.com. The roulette system explained on this website does not use any form of electronics. However, we also develop, use and sell electronic cheating devices to beat roulette, every time, guaranteed. Such devices are called roulette computers. They are considerably more effective than any non-electronic method. Contrary to popular belief, they are actually illegal to apply in most casinos because they do not interfere with spin results, they only predict spins. But whether or not such devices are legal, they are certainly not welcome in casinos. If you are caught cheating with a computer, you will most certainly be asked to leave. This is why application must be covert, the computer must be concealed as ours are.